Welcome to another episode of Living in Rockland Live. Excuse my appearance and my voice. I have a little cold, caught it from one of the daycares. But in any case, I'm so excited to be here. I couldn't bail on this one. This is my chiropractor, Chrissy Petersen. I'm going to turn it right over to her and let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Kelly. I'm Dr. Chrissy Petersen. I'm a chiropractor. Like Kelly said, I own New Life Family Chiropractic that's in New City.
Awesome. I think I found you, like 2 or 3 years ago. And I just had this like back pain and, a bunch of other things too. And finding her was just like a miracle. So I just want to kick it off. Bring me back. Like, why did you choose to go into school for chiropractic and where did you go to school?
So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I'm a third generation chiropractor. So my dad is a chiropractor. He's still working now. And my grandfather was one. So I grew up in a total chiropractic family. That was our main health care. And I think in about 7th grade, I had to write a paper for a health class and I wrote it on chiropractic. And from that point, I kind of realized that not a lot of people really understand what chiropractic actually is. So I kind of decided right then, I think I was like 12 or 13.
Wow.
People need to understand it like I understand it.
So the day you were born, did you get an adjustment? Is that how it worked in your family?
Yeah, totally. I came out and my grandfather adjusted me. And I think I was about 6 months old when my dad drove to school.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So did you ever think about like going into another career, or like it was so ingrained since it's generational that you were like, I'm going in for this?
I did actually. After I got my bachelor's, I took a couple of years off and I was a teaching assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought maybe I wanted to be a teacher. My mom's a teacher. So I was like, let me try that out. And then after doing that, I was like, no, this isn't for me. That's not my purpose. And I went to chiropractic school. Yeah.
So I think I'm right. You went to your undergrad at Stack, right? At St. Thomas?
I graduated from Stack. Yeah.
Awesome. And then where did you go for chiro school?
So I went for 2 years to Georgia and to Life University, and then ended up transferring 2 years in and went to Palmer College of Chiropractic, which is in Iowa. And that's where my dad and grandfather graduated from. So it was kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool. It's like full circle there.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a chiropractor now?
Oh, I graduated in 2004. So this year it'll be 19 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What else? So, 19 years in, if you could, like you just said before, when you were 12 years old and you were like, I want people to understand chiropractic the way that I understand it. If you can break it down in, a couple sentences, or how can you, or how do you explain it to your patients? Like, what is chiropractic work?
Sure. I'll give you the 60-second spiel. So I think a lot of people think chiropractic is for bad backs and bad necks and things like that, right? That's the common conception. So I think for me, chiropractic is about so much more than that. If I could, can I just tell a quick story of why my grandfather became a chiropractor?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, due to a birth kind of injury to my uncle, who was my mom's older brother, he was born oxygen deprived because of a medical error. The nurse didn't know what to do and the doctor wasn't there. So she physically closed my grandmother's legs and wouldn't let him come out for hours. And then when he came out, he was challenged physically, mentally. And back then, that was back in the 40s.
Wow.
You don't put your kid somewhere. So they had to raise him at home and deal with all these challenges. He had seizures all the time. He couldn't be potty trained. He was 5 years old, still in diapers. He couldn't feed himself. He couldn't drink from a glass. He couldn't do anything. So my grandmother used to have to tie him to a leash outside, like a dog run, so that she could hang up the clothes, because he would try to run away. He would jump the fence. So a neighbor noticed this and was like, you need to take that child to a chiropractor. And they did. They were like, okay, let's try it. Her brother was a chiropractor. So they went, and after he had one adjustment, he never had another seizure again. And after like 2 weeks of adjustments, so maybe I think they were going twice a week, so maybe 4 adjustments, my grandmother looked over and he was drinking from a glass for the very first time. He was able to be potty trained. I mean, obviously he still had his challenges, but the change was significant enough that my grandfather was like, what is this? I need to go do this. And he went to school in the 50s and became a chiropractor.
I have the chills. That is
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Life-changing.
So why is that? Like, why does that work? So people are like, well, what do you mean? Like it's for backs but it's really not. So it's for your nervous system. So if you think about your brain and your spinal cord, that's the only system in your whole body that has bone all around it. It's encased with bone. So if you think about your brain is protected by your skull and your spinal cord is protected by this beautiful column of bones that allows us to move and everything. But in that movement, sometimes the bones can get stuck where they're not supposed to be. So those messages going back and forth from the brain to the body get interrupted. And to me, the only job of a chiropractor is to put that back in the middle, let the body communicate with itself and naturally heal. Our bodies are incredibly capable of healing. They just have to be in the right position. So that's my quick explanation.
I love that. Yeah, because most of the time, like, you always hear like, oh, you got a bad neck, go get it adjusted. You got a bad back, go get it adjusted. But just like you said, there's so much more to it that, just think about, a highway, right? And then there's like the traffic signals. And if the traffic signals are off, then, how is the traffic flow supposed to be good? That's the way I was kind of thinking of it when you were saying that. Like,
Yeah.
if there's an accident on one of the highways, then obviously it's not going to get through. So I think that's a great explanation. And I think the first time I met you, you gave me that explanation.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the services that you do offer, besides like your adjustments? Is it just adjustments? What kind of things, why would I come to your office?
So, I mean, a lot of chiropractors do a lot of other things, and I respect that, and they're doing it for different reasons. I just do adjustments with my hands 95% of the time. And I I educate people about essential oils because I really believe that the biggest factors in ill health are stress and toxins. So chiropractic adjustment can help you handle your stress in a better way through your nervous system, but then getting some of the toxic stuff out of your house really helps too. It keeps your body healthy in between.
I can definitely attest to that because like I said, when I came to you, I started using the oils as well, and I love it. Even this morning, I had my diffuser going. It just makes the environment calmer. Even like my husband, he thinks that's like a hippie thing. He's like, essential oils, what's that? But
Yeah.
I know when he walks in from work, he likes when the diffuser is on.
Yeah, it's awesome. It can change your mood and, just getting some of the toxic stuff out of your personal products as well.
Well, even that, like when I met you, you mentioned like candles, like little things. And I started to look at the ingredients and like my cleaning products and like little things. And I'm like, oh my God, all of this I'm putting on surfaces. Therefore, it's probably absorbing into my body, into my bloodstream too. Like that can't be good for you.
100%. I used to love candles. I used to burn Yankee candles in my office. I was like, this is so great. It's the ambiance and the candle looks so nice and smells so good. And little did I know, I'm like poisoning people. So now we just use a diffuser in the office and, diffuse natural essential oils that are actually have health benefits for you.
That's amazing. Do you like coach or educate people on the oils as well? Like if I was brand new and I didn't know what oil to pick, you help with that as well.
100%. There's a whole community of us that there's a lot of education and you're never kind of left out there with questions. I'm happy to answer questions about that for sure.
That's awesome. So I always like to ask other chiropractors, do you get adjustments yourself as well?
Oh my gosh, 100%. I have to. Yeah. So my
You
job
do
is
it
very
again?
physical and I get adjusted at least once a week.
That's awesome. Do you float around and go to different chiropractors or do you go to your dad?
Yeah, I do. I see my dad. I actually have another chiropractor in my office and I know you had Dr. Castro on here. I get adjusted by him sometimes. And Dr. O'Looney, she adjusts me sometimes too. I don't know if you've had her yet.
I haven't, but me and Castro were talking about, he's like, there's a chiropractor for each need. And I was like, you're 100% right. When I come to you, it feels like you're sitting on my back with like 300 pounds of weight. And when I go to Chrissy, it like releases my stress. And it's like,
yeah. And I think that's kind of a myth too, that chiropractors are in such competition with each other because they're both my friends, and I have a lot of chiropractic friends, and I do refer to them for different things. Like I'm not for everybody, just like, he's not for everybody. And he refers to me, I refer to him, and it's great. It works out perfect.
Yeah, it makes for
Yeah.
such a nice community. It also just shows that like you're not money hungry, that that's
Yeah.
not the purpose, that you're there to actually help. And if you feel like you can't help somebody, you're not going to BS them and say, "Oh, I could help you."
Yeah, 100%. And I specialize more in like pregnancy and pediatrics. I see babies, I see kids. Pregnancy, you can get adjusted safely the whole time. It's very gentle. And sometimes people get freaked out when I say babies. They're like, "Oh, you could adjust a baby," but it's not like a grown-up adjustment. It's just you're using a finger with a little bit of pressure, and that's it. It's very gentle and light, and it can make a huge difference.
Yeah, can you see babies as soon as they're born, really, right? Right after you can see them.
I've adjusted babies the same day they're born or a couple days later. Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. And also, I've just talk of the town. I've like every pregnant woman I've known recently goes to you. They're like, I swear by it. The pelvic pain that they've experienced, you've cured. Like, so definitely, I hear that specialty a lot around town. That you're the go-to for the pregnancy chiro.
Yes, I like that. And
So
because of my grandfather's story, I think that's why I'm so interested in that, because it was, he didn't become a chiropractor because of somebody's back pain. He became a chiropractor because of a birth,
right,
the way that birth went. So I think just keeping pregnant women in line helps everything.
this is really important.
Yeah.
So how can somebody find you or like book an appointment with you?
You can go to my website, which is experiencenewlife.com, and you can request an appointment in there, or you can just call the office. Should I say the number?
Yeah, sure. You could say it and I'll drop it in the comments as well.
Okay. So it's just 845-517-0520, and we can get you in.
Sweet. And then you also, I know from me, you take insurance, right? You take multiple insurances, or is it limited to some?
I work with all insurances, as long as some of them out of network, some of them in network. And I'll tell you if it's more expensive to go through your insurance. Some people's copays are so high that they're higher than my cash fee. So, and then it depends. If you're on wellness care, like once you get through the initial phase, insurance doesn't really cover that. So then we work something out there.
Okay, cool. So there's definitely options there for people that, some people also think that like their insurance wouldn't even cover it. So you're super flexible with that, which is nice.
Yeah.
Reach more people that way.
Yeah.
So in closing, what's your vision for New Life Chiropractic?
I mean, I love to see whole families. So I love to see the kids, the mom, the dad, the grandparents, everybody. So I think just if everybody was adjusted, the world would be a better place, and we'd be a little more calm and maybe a little more kind to each other. And that's kind of my big vision.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Chrissy, thank you so much for your time today. I had so much fun talking to you, and I look forward to getting back into your office for an adjustment.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great.
No problem. Have a great day.
You too.